as Sophia mentioned, my name is Pascal Navot, and I'd like to spend a bit of time with you this afternoon. I see that the topic that we're covering today is drawing interest. We have decided with a few of the members of New Acropolis here to hold these talks this afternoon in as our way to mark the 8th of March. And we decided to do it on Saturday because there's so much happening on the 8th of March. We thought this might be an opportunity where there aren't so many things that we all want to go and attend to. We also wanted to touch on the feminine, to gain a little more understanding about what is the feminine. The feminine has, I think it is something that is, how would I say, it's not a mystery to us that the feminine is a mystery. And it has been referred to as being a mystery in tradition for a very long time. Since, I feel like saying the dawn of time, but at least since antiquity anyway, different cultures have highlighted the importance of, for men and women to understand not only the feminine but the masculine as well. And maybe that could be the topic for another talk at another time, to talk about the masculine as well. I'm a woman, and the feminine is, I think, a mystery not only for men, but for women as well. For women who try to find their identity, who try to understand themselves. And of course, for men who try to understand their companions, their sisters, their mothers, their fellow citizens. And these two polarities are present in the human being, but they are a reflection of polarities that are present in so many ways in nature. We discover them through science. We use electricity all the time. We put batteries in our phones, in our cameras, or maybe we don't put so many batteries, we recharge them now, but you know what I'm talking about. So polarities are naturally part of nature, present in the universe, in the cosmos. And we've decided to look at understanding the feminine, not so much from the perspective of what does a woman do in society, but more being inspired by tradition, being inspired by a more philosophical approach. We're in the School of Philosophy after all, to understand a little more the essence, or some aspects of the essence of the feminine, which has been conveyed to us in different traditions through their myths. And that's why we have entitled this series of talks, The Feminine in Mythology. Myths are conveying to us concepts. Do you know what is a myth? We'll talk for a couple of minutes about what is a myth. A myth is described as an anthropologist, Mircea Eliade. He's a Romanian anthropologist. He lived in the 20th century. And he refers to the myth as being a story, but as being a true story. It's the truth of the myth doesn't lie in the facts that it tells. It's not historical, although it may refer to some historical events. But the myth is true because its trueness lies in the fact that it touches to something essential, something timeless, and it presents to us timeless realities. What do I mean by timeless? Realities that always have been and always will be it touching on the cosmos, on the beginnings, be it touching on human realities. And often the two can be related and are related. But nonetheless, there are some myths that are more talking about the stories of the beginnings of life. and other myths that talk about the life of and the adventures of different divinities, which at the end of the day are really talking about timeless values, timeless concepts, which are present in us. They are present in us, in all of us. Maybe some concepts, some archetypes are more present in one of us, and maybe another one is more present, more relevant in another person. But overall, they touch all of us. And what's her name? Jean Shinoda Bolen describes the myth. She says it's like a dream that we remember. Myths, because like a dream, which you may not remember all the details, but it's there. It's somewhere, somewhat part of us. Now, maybe since we're talking about the feminine, I know we don't have, I don't have a lot of time for this talk, since we want to have the 3 talks this afternoon. But if I was to ask you, what is the feminine? What would you say? Just a couple of words. What comes to your mind when we talk about the feminine, or when you hear about the feminine?
Birth.
Birth?
Birth. Nurturing of an image.
Yeah.
Nutrition.
Nutrition. I heard also beauty somewhere. Yeah. Nutrition. Sorry? Can you speak up a bit? Sorry, with the rain I can't.
The sensibility about
Sensitivity, yeah. Yeah. Anything else? The emotional part of the human being. Okay.
Not only women.
Yeah.
Life-giving force.
Life-giving force.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? I'm sure there are other thoughts. No? Yeah? Powerful. Mm. I like that. Determined. Okay. Okay. So it's interesting how it echoes. I mean, there are common elements, but the feminine has many different facets. And it's a while since I've held a talk on this subject, and quite a while. And I find it interesting that none of you have referred to the functions that woman takes in society as the responsibilities, which I find very interesting. And you'll understand why. Because very often, at least in the past, but I'll say for today because it hasn't come up.
Excuse me, a woman's role has changed in society in recent times, from ancient times.
Yes.
The role of a woman has changed.
Yes.
So that's the problem.
I don't know if it's a problem,
Well,
but it's something that it's a reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's changed very dramatically.
Yeah.
At one time, girls weren't educated at all, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But now it's all compulsory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there was a time even before that where everybody was educated. There was no difference that was being made between boys and girls. A long time ago. So, first of all, the feminine is present in women and men. There is, Carl Jung explains this quite clearly. He says that the feminine is present, in women, we all know that. The masculine is present in men, but there is a presence of the masculine in women and a presence of the feminine in men as well. The two polarities are present in everybody, but to a different degrees and expressing itself, therefore, in a different way. He calls the feminine in men, he calls it the anima. And he calls the masculine in women, he calls it the animus. I'm not going to talk a lot about that today. That could be the subject for another lecture, but today I'd like to talk about the feminine. We could say the feminine is, just to add two elements that you have mentioned, that the feminine is also described as a mystery, as we said, a life-giving force. It partakes in the sacred as well, the feminine. The feminine is what unites, what gathers, what brings together. The masculine divides. Don't take me wrong, dividing is not negative, just in case. Division is necessary so that we can discern things, so that we can identify things. But also there is a need to bring things together, so the two are needed together. And yeah, they are complementary. The feminine is also that which lies within, the interiority. I think that's a proper word in English, the mystery, that which is intangible. It's very much it touches to the mystery of life. It touches to what lies within. Therefore, it is associated with as being the womb of the world, the womb of the cosmos. It is associated with gestation, the womb, gestation, the emergence of life. How would I say? The emergence of life, yeah. But for life to happen, as we all know, you need the impulse of the masculine as well. So the two, again, need to be there present together. It is associated, we see the power of the feminine present in the great ocean, the great mother, but also the great void. The great void, the great ocean bring us back to the myths of beginnings, where you had the great primordial ocean from which life emerges, or the great void, depending on the different cultures. So we see that the different cultures have referred to the different concepts of the feminine in different ways, because as somebody mentioned, life evolves, life changes, and the perceptions and the way different cultures express the timeless realities changes over time. What we've been talking about so far when talking about the feminine, we've been referring more to the essence of the feminine, and not so much to what I would describe as the function, which I think you used the word role there earlier on, which is the feminine as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as the sister, as the partner, as the artist, or maybe the scientist, or the warrior, or the educator. Those are functions that women hold in their life. What we've been talking about is more the essence, which I would in the language that we use, I would describe that as a role, but it's not the same role as that gentleman was referring to earlier on. It's more related to the essence. So, to talk a little bit about the different goddesses, because the feminine is represented in mythology through the different goddesses. And in the most archaic representations of women, we find the great goddess. The great goddess, which is really a symbol of the earth that holds life, the earth that provides for life as well, the earth that nurtures and nurtures like a mother. And so the great goddess is also associated with the mother goddess. But over time, that image changes over time throughout history, as we mentioned, through different civilizations and at different times. I'd like to, I've just taken note of a few examples, and Julia later on and Monica after that will talk about more specific examples in the Celtic tradition and in the Greek tradition. You understand, this is a very vast subject. We could actually, you could do a couple of seminars on this subject. So what we want to do this afternoon is just to give a little, how would I say, a little injection, if I can use that term. In Egypt, there's one, Egypt is a civilization which is not very well known. We're generally in Europe more familiar with the Greco-Romans, and in Ireland, to some extent, with the Celtic tradition, to some extent. But I'm going to give a couple of examples coming from Egypt and then from Greece as well. In Egypt, there's one important divinity which is Hathor, and maybe I'll write her name. Can you all see the board? Hathor is known to be one of the primordial divinities in Egypt. And Hathor has 4 faces or 4 facets. The Egyptian tradition, the ancient Egyptian mythology or pantheon is, I was going to say complex, but it's not complicated, but it represents, when you look into it, it represents all of life in its all its different facets, in a way that is different from the way we think today in our modern day society. We think by putting things in boxes, and the Egyptians look at life as being one and integrating all the different facets of life. And therefore Hathor has 4 facets, which are symbolized in 4 different divinities. There is Isis. Isis is the wife of Osiris. Isis is symbolic of union. She harmonizes. Isis is the one that brings together. One of her symbols is a knot made of a ribbon. She is the one that gathers, so she is the link. She connects. She is also the life giver, and she is indefatigable. No, that's French. Sorry, that's not correct. Untiring. Untiring, I think we say. Is that correct? Tireless. Yeah. Yeah, we could say tireless. Yeah, she doesn't get tired. She's inexhaustible. She's relentless, but in a positive sense. She keeps working. She keeps doing what she needs to do. She keeps fighting for what she needs to fight. And yeah, Sekhmet. Sekhmet is a lioness goddess. Sekhmet has 2 facets. She can be the most gentle and loving and most gentle, but like a lioness can be very gentle. You've probably seen documentaries of how gentle the lioness can be with her cubs. But if you come and try to grab her cubs, you don't want to do that. Sekhmet is like that. Sekhmet has a healing side and also a ferocious side. She can be very destructive. If the law is broken, if injustice is made. So this is Bastet is the gentle she-cat. She's a gentle she-cat. She is the seductress and the loving mother. She's associated with childbirth and young kids. and babies. And then Nut is the lady of the sky, N-U-T. She's the lady of the sky. She ensures the rebirth of the sun and of the souls in Egypt. The rebirth of the sun means she's the lady of the sky, and she makes sure that the sun rises every day. The rebirth of the sun. And there, Nut is associated with the cycles of life and death. And we find that also in other traditions, how women are, and the feminine is associated with the cyclicity of life. Women who go through their menstrual cycle every month have a natural understanding of the cycles of life and have a natural understanding of the duration of life as well. And they can work with time. So this is one example for facets of Hathor, which I think you can recognize those different divinities probably in yourself, in each other. Okay, I'm going to go over time. My apologies to you and to the organizers. In Greece, we find 4 divinities which are complementary. And I'll start with the first one, Aphrodite, who is associated with youth. Aphrodite is beauty. Aphrodite is love. Aphrodite is associated with the perfect body. And it is the love and the passion of love. She's associated with harmony as well. And the mystery of love. This is Aphrodite. Coming with the young woman, leaving the youth of the teenager, entering into the young woman, we have the goddess Athena. Athena is energy. She's a fighter. She's associated. She in Greece. Is the goddess of war. Not that she goes with weapons and fights war, but she's a goddess which is associated with the inner war, the inner battle. That battle that every human being needs to face and to fight in order to grow within, in order to overcome one's own limitations, in order to awaken one's own potential. And in mythology, Athena is the goddess who inspires the warriors at war, the warriors who engage into that battle. She's also the protector of peace and harmony, and she's also patron goddess of arts and crafts, and she's associated with wisdom and the transmission of wisdom. The mother archetype here is Demeter. Demeter she's the mother, not only the mother who bears the childbearing mother, but she's the mother in a symbolic sense. The mother which can be manifesting as the educator, the mother which is the one who nurtures, the mother who cares for the weak or for those in need. And of course, being the mother, she brings the miracle of life in many different ways. Then in maturity, we have the goddess Hera. Hera, who is the wife, but she's the wife that will stand by her man. But she leads us to the peak of life, that peak of maturity, the time which comes to transmit one's life experiences. And there's another facet of wisdom there that is present in Hera. She's also symbolic of faithfulness. Faithfulness not only to a partner, but faithfulness to oneself, to an ideal, to values, to what we stand and what we hold valuable in our life. Those are 4 divinities from Greeks. We have Aphrodite, Athena, Demeter, and Hera. Those divinities are present in each one of us. And it can be interesting to try to recognize what is the divinity that is predominant in me, because we all have a tendency more leaning towards that or towards the other. We all have different tendencies. I've presented them here to you in the sense of the chronology through life, because that's how those divinities are more present in a woman's life. But underlying all that, each woman may or maybe not, but often has one of those divinities that is predominant, that is more strongly present in themselves, which could be interesting to recognize within ourselves. Recognizing that nonetheless in the course of life, well, in youth it is Aphrodite will be more present definitely than a Hera, because there isn't such the maturity of life that is present. But then looking at those divinities, the benefit is, and understanding the mythology, the benefit is if we can try to relate to them and try to understand what do they mean, so that I can extract keys to understand myself, to understand my companion, to understand the women around me in my life. There is no equation where I can say this plus this equals that, but it gives us some keys of understanding. Understanding why, so that we can qualify ourselves, we can live at peace with ourselves, but also, and maybe more so, so that we can develop the facets that are weaker in us. Because to be complete, we need to find a balance. Nobody can live without one of those divinities. Nobody can. And therefore, if I'm very strongly Athena and I'm not so much Aphrodite, maybe I need to work on awakening Aphrodite in me, or vice versa, just as an example. Maybe I'm too much Aphrodite and I'm a bit cold and I need to be a bit warmer. I need Aphrodite to help me. But it's up to me to allow that to happen, or to make that happen, because it's not just going to happen. Our potential is not going to just awaken like that. It's something that we need to work at, we need to make happen in the course of life, through our experiences, through our understanding. So I hope you find a few keys, and I hope you can stay for the next, at least maybe one or both of the next talks, so that you can find a few more keys, because Julia and Monica are going to go a bit more in depth in just a few concepts that some of them that we've referred to already, but they're going to go a little more in depth, which will give you a few more keys of understanding. So thank you very much.